better the experience that you're providing for the end user, you will rank higher in Facebook's auction. And the higher you rank, the lower your cost per click, because Facebook wants to reward advertisers that are providing a good experience. So although it is natural over time for costs to rise, it is something that you can overcome by really good marketing. And of course, that always comes down to things like your offer, the creative, of course, copywriting, targeting, and who you're putting the ad in front of. There are lots of elements that go into this. But, one of the most important ones, of course, is copywriting. For Facebook, what's important is being as native as possible. And what I mean by that is you want your ad to look like a regular post that someone would see from a family member, a friend, or maybe a brand that they've chose to just organically follow online. And so the more native that you can appear and be, the more engagement you're going to get, because you don't stand out as an ad, right? Most of us, and I know that I did this early in my career, especially from a copywriting standpoint, I would sit down to write an ad and I would kind of put my professional copywriter, like very, I'm really going to focus on this. I would put that hat on, and there can be benefits to that. But the downside is that it can very much sound like an ad. And when it sounds like an ad, people don't want to engage. They might mark you as spam. They might hide your ad, which all really hurts in terms of where you're ranking in the auction. So the key with copywriting and being native is actually taking off that really professional hat and getting into a place where you really feel like you're actually writing to a friend, or something that you would even personally put onto Facebook. And I have different hooks and sort of formulas that I use for that I'm happy to share. But the key is actually to show up and not look like an ad. And that's how you're able to, from a copywriting standpoint, really increase that click-through rate, increase that engagement so that your costs can go down. And most of it is knowing like exactly who you're talking to and trying to enter the conversation that they're having. So a great example, I had a client called Panda Planner. They sell these monthly planners. And instead of just running ads, it's like, hey, these are awesome planners. Look at these fancy lines, and the paper quality is amazing, sounding like an ad, talking about the product. I was able to identify some avatars like moms and show up in the newsfeed and tell a story about a mom who used our planner, and she was able to keep up with after school activities and cleaning the house and meal prep. And so instead of showing up and just selling the planner, we're showing up and having a conversation that market might already be having. So I think that, I'm not really saying like, to just show up and be like, hey girl, in that way. It's just really knowing who you're talking to and speaking to them about what matters. That's going to catch their attention. That's going to get them to engage with you and say, yeah, I've had this same problem. And, that's where you're going to be able to win here.